right now. I remember when I was still pregnant with Nyla, I started having freak out moments. I don't know if other moms had that,
Oh
but
yeah.
I was freaking out. Freaking out. Well, you freak out about I'm gonna be responsible, I'm gonna be a mom, and I'm gonna don't know everything. But one of my freak out moments was like, holy moly, what if like my kid is wild? And like it's just like obnoxious and then just like go disturb, like throw tantrum, doesn't listen to me. What am I gonna do? What am I gonna do? I was like freaking out about that. And Nyla's spirit came to talk to me. She said, you know, with or without me, this journey has never been about anyone else but you.
Welcome to Conversation for the Soul. I'm Linda Christine. Today I have a beautiful, deep, and rich conversation with Bridget Wang. Bridget is, her energy is just delicious. And we talk about conscious parenting. She shares stories on ancestral trauma and healing that and healing the shadow and looking in those mirrors and dealing with those triggers, all those things, we really don't care to dive into, but it's kind of a necessity right now, isn't it? And also, please share this story. Please like, please subscribe, because this is how these beautiful stories get passed around. The more we can beat that algorithm, the better we're going to be in getting those stories out there, because these people really are authentically sharing their heart with you in order to assist in the conscious raising of this planet. So I will stop rambling on and we will get to it with Bridget. Welcome to Conversation for the Soul, Bridget. I am so happy to have you here.
Oh, I'm so excited to be here. Thank you so much for having me and inviting me to be here, have fun conversation with you.
Absolutely. I think the last time we saw each other was probably, gosh, 7 or 8 years ago, maybe. Could it have been that long ago?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think
yeah.
so. About 2017, 18-ish.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. A lot has changed for both of us since then. We were definitely on our conscious journey then, but I would love for you to share with folks, because a big part of this podcast is people sharing their stories, and I believe stories make wonderful teachers. So as a lot of people are stepping into their conscious awareness, I want them to know they're not alone, and there are a lot of people that are going through a lot of different things. So how did you first step onto your conscious journey?
Wow. It was back in 2009. I was introduced to this energy healing modality called theta healing. And from there, this is an interesting story because I grew up in a quite dysfunctional family. And there was a lot of chaos in the home. But I remember when I was little, I always had this thought in my mind that I'm here to do something more than justice, but I don't know what it is. And my mom was always interested in like psychic people, fortune reading, and all that stuff. So, and she is a birth chart reader herself. So I was always being exposed to these kind of stuff and had always wished I was psychic. Didn't know everybody is born with it. And I had always had these questions of why am I here? Why am I this body? Why can't I be cloud? Why can't I be wind? Like, what created me? What created this earth? What created the thing that created the earth? What created the thing that created the thing that created the earth? So it's like I could never find the answer. And so, well, years goes by. 2009, I was introduced to theta healing. And then we were taught to learn all these ways to communicate, connected to source, and tapping into your subconscious mind, working deep into your subconscious mind, releasing all the programmings that are not serving you anymore, as well as having conversation with angels, spirit guides, and people on the other side. And that was kind of a catalyst of opening my mind to go, oh my gosh, like we can all do this. And I think universe has its own way of guiding everyone, because once I've learned what I needed as a tool, universe goes, okay, you're done with this group of consciousness, this group of people. Now it's time for you to move on and learn from other mentors. And so even though I establish my skills and tools of how to use these skills to tap into the source and myself, I realized there's something deeper than just talking about past lives or just having conversations. And there's other questions about love, about self-love, about why are we here, about what are we, about what is this all about. And throughout the journey since 2009, I've met multiple different mentors and learned so many different things, read a lot of different books to gain a lot of different perspectives. And now I'm still on the journey of learning and understanding, but I really believe this journey is fascinating and never cease to amaze me when you have that new aha moment of like, oh my gosh, this is what we're here for. Whoa, this can do it this way. Wow, we can look at things this way in a very different way. So that has been kind of the journey so far.
It's interesting. I was talking with somebody on a podcast yesterday, and we were discussing how you can be a teacher, you can be a healer, but you're still healing and teaching yourself. Do you find that to be true?
Yes, I absolutely agree with you. I'm a firm believer that we can only help other people to the extent that we help ourselves. And it's not me trying to be judgmental in any way, but I'm very picky. Like even me, I've been doing this work for 15 years and I'm very, very, very consistent in doing inner work, very, very consistent. But there are times where I'm still blindsided by my own stuff. There are times when there are certain things, as I say, shame, feelings that I'm afraid to look at. And even though consciously I want to look at it, but there's a part of me that's too scared of how that may feel like, what I would actually find out about myself. I unconsciously block myself from going deeper. And I would still need mentor. Luckily, my husband, Jonathan, we do this work with each other and together. So there are times when I can't dig deeper, I ask him for help. But I also find that I look for other mentors that help themselves so deeply that you can sense there's absolutely no judgments whatsoever about anything. And that's when I know how much work they've done for themselves. And because the reason why that's so important to me is because when the healer, the teacher, do the inner work themselves, they project less of what they think it is onto the client. So the more we're able to clear ourselves, the more we're gonna be able to allow ourselves to just be the vessel than what we think this person needs. But it's more of allowing this person or the universe to guide us to, and it's interesting too, as I talk about this, I realized a long time ago, there's a friend that told me, she said, Bridget, and you've heard of we're all one, right? We're all one. So basically, Bridget, you're me and I'm you. And I noticed so many times, it's interesting because there's so many times where I clear a big, big chunk of limiting things from the past. And then I will receive a text message or a phone call from a client who needs help. And as we have conversation, they need exactly what I just worked through. And I somehow find that very fascinating that if I wasn't able to go through all that, I may still be serving that person. I could still serve that person, but serve that person at the level that I was before versus I've cleared all that stuff away. Now I can serve at a more expansive way, if that makes sense.
That makes complete sense. Do you feel like it's almost like you step out of your own way and you get into like a spiritual flow to where you get the stuff cleared out and then more information comes in to assist you to assist others?
Yes, absolutely. I often, when you say that, it somehow reminds me of things that I often think to myself, that nobody heals other people, people, it's almost like you and I were talking, or anybody talking to each other. Everybody already has an answer within themselves. And when we talk to another being, we can only hear at the level we're ready to receive. And so what we do is basically being a very clean vessel and get us out of the way as much as possible, or just at least just the ego part of it, because I still believe there's a huge part of us that is unconditional love, that is source, that is God, and that is who we all are. And I believe that we all have those divine answers within ourselves. Sometimes we just need another person as a reflector, and I have to see myself as a reflector. As a person, I'm just reflecting back to you, and I'm providing questions because you already have the answer. I'm not the one that's giving you the answer. I'm just asking questions. And I have found it so many times that healing comes from a new perspective, a new awareness. If you think about this, we often have questions in our mind. A lot of time we ask questions all the time. How come? What if this person doesn't like me? What if this doesn't work? What if I fail? What if we are always asking those questions? And therefore, unconsciously, we always produce the same answer or look for the same answers. But then my job, I feel like I'm just providing a different questions. So they started looking outside of the old questions that they have been asking, and that's not serving them, if that makes sense.
Makes complete sense. I think it was I just saw, maybe it was a Rumi quote. The healer is only as good as the person getting healed's desire to heal themselves. Something like
Yes.
that. I totally
Yes.
ruined it, but um, it's how do I want to word it? It's like you really have to just want to peel the onion back. You really have to, like, you just have such a vibrant curiosity about you and such a high energy and a level of wanting to perfect your soul's journey. And nothing's perfect. That's probably the wrong word to use. But you just really come across as somebody who is just like, I'm going to grab this human experience and I'm just going to peel the onion away until I'm in the middle and I'm back merged with source. Do you feel that way?
Yes. Yeah. And sometimes it feels like it's really hard.
Oh God, yes. So
However,
hard.
yeah. And I noticed the more work that you do, inner work, the more you face yourself, the more you cannot run away from yourself. Sometimes I think about my past self who didn't know all this stuff, like spirituality, like other real, just naive to it. I was like, was I happier back then? And I was like, I don't know if that's the word. I don't think I was truly happy because I thought that was it. But that's what I settled for. And now you cannot not know what you already know. Now that I know so much, done so much inner work, because you've done so much inner work, you feel a lot more internally when triggers show up. And when triggers show up, it stay there consistently until you look at it. And I've done this work long enough to know that when triggers show up and I keep ignoring it, pushing it aside, it's going to show up in my external world consistently, one way, shape, or form. And so I'm in Washington right now, where I'm surrounded by trees a lot. And I'm experiencing that on an even deeper level because it's very, very, very quiet here. There's no distraction. There's not, where I am right now is like 20, 30 minutes away from the city. And
Sounds
so
like
there's
heaven.
Yes, yes, it is. It has beautiful views. At the same time, because it's so quiet here, that I am so aware of all the thoughts, all the programmings, all the patterns that has been there. And I've been doing this for 15 years, and there's still more for me to look at. At the same time, every time I look at it, I remember when I first started this journey, I would clear a layer of something, and then my spiritual teacher would help me realize, whoa, what I clear is still there. And I would get so frustrated and go, oh my gosh, I thought I did the work. Why is it still there? And then over the years and learning from different teacher, I love this teacher, Matias De Stefano. He's on Gaia. And I love, love, love him, his energy and everything he has to share about who we are and the world and everything. But he's basically used the terminology, and this other spiritual teacher too. They said time is not linear, but spiral.
Yep.
So, and he talks about how sometimes there's an experience, we'll be put to look at the experience from this perspective. And then we're going to spiral around and look at it from this perspective, and then that perspective, and this perspective. So a lot of time before I would get frustrated that I thought I cleared that level of frustration or fear or programming. Why is it still there? I realized it's not that, it's there for a different level now. You're clearing on a different level now. You're looking at it from a different level now. And then you're healing yourself on a different level now, on an even more profound level now that you were not ready back then. And so it's not always easy, but it's definitely very worth it.
It's a lot like you're only as good as the information you have, or we should
Yes.
say you're only as good as your level of awareness. So if
Yes.
you're in a place like, let's say 10 years ago, your awareness has grown exponentially in that time. So that trigger or pattern keeps coming up and you're seeing it from those different angles, like the spiral that you were
Yeah.
just talking about. It's so fascinating. Can you
Yes.
share some of the shadow work that you've done? Like what's some big ones that you maybe thought you cleared and you were working on? How did they present themselves, and what kinds of things did you use to move those through?
Okay. So there are different ways of clearing your subconscious programmings that are not longer serving you. And in the beginning, there's a lot of, for people who are just starting to do this work, I recommend just have a conversation with yourself. I think that's the number one thing. I was telling Jonathan the other day, I said, a lot of us were never really taught how to have a real conversations with ourselves. The only times we'll have a conversation with ourselves is criticism or blame or beat ourselves up. But imagine you yourself as another friend. And every time you go to that friend just like, oh my gosh, why did you do that? Are you stupid? Blah, blah, blah. Would you still want to talk to that friend about anything that you have internally? You're like, no, I'm not, no, like you're just gonna yell at me. And I think right now is to retrain ourselves to really consciously choose to spend time with you in a different way. Change your relationship with yourself. Be curious about what are you feeling? Okay, let's say this family member says something. Okay, what did they say? What about it did it actually trigger you? What are you actually feeling? If what you're actually feeling has absolutely nothing to do with this person, but something that is deep within, stem from something, what does this feeling or experience actually remind you of? And if you allow yourself to trace back, once you go, oh my gosh, I remember my dad used to do this or say this, and I'll always feel sad that they didn't spend time with me or they misunderstood me or whatever it is. You will notice that a lot of us are still trapped in that loop of, I want to be seen. I want to be heard. I want to be understood. Am I important? I want to feel loved. And we didn't get to experience that. So we're trapped in there. Right now, a part of you like, well, I understand why my parents did all that. Like, I shouldn't hold resentment. And that's fine. But also honor the other part of you that was hurt. And I think that's what happens when people are unable to get out of the loop is they are forcing the positivity when there's a part of themselves that needs to be heard first. It's almost like I get a cut and you just go, let's be positive about it. It's fine, forget it. but honor, I got a cut, it hurts. And I want to give it tender, loving care. And that's what we do with our own emotional wounds. The thing is, we don't spend enough time to face that. We feel like we shouldn't. We feel like we need to have a bigger heart. It shouldn't be a big deal. It's your parents or with your friends. It's fine. But is it? If it's completely fine, if you're completely okay with it, then you would not feel the trigger. When there's a trigger that is showing up externally, it is literally just a clue from the universe and yourself saying, hello, did you say you want a new life? Cool, me too. But I'm going to bring up the trigger. So you clear all that away. So we move into the direction that we want to experience without these baggages. So be careful what you ask for, because you're going to have to do the work first. And then you'll move into that frequency a lot easier. And I think that's one. And number two is, after you have that conversation with yourself, during the time you have that conversation with yourself, be with your feeling. Stay with your feeling. Don't be afraid of it. It's almost like, and I've actually experienced this with Nyla. The other day, I saw a video of a woman talking about, sometimes when kids throw tantrum, they don't need someone to make them feel better. They don't need anyone to yell at them and say, like, you shouldn't be throwing tantrum. All they really need is for someone to be there. You don't have to do anything, just be there. And that kid will soothe themselves. They will feel better because you're literally holding the container and say, it's okay. I'm not afraid of your feeling, and it's okay to feel what you feel. And my daughter Nyla is 4 years old. There's so many times when she throws tantrum, I want to go, ah! And I remember she doesn't need fixing. She's having big emotions. Let me just be there. And I will literally just sit there and look at her. And I will just look at her. And I won't offer a hug until she asks for it. Because when I offer a hug, she was like, no. And then so I wait for her. And then she will cry for like 3, 4, 5 minutes and turn into fake crying for 1 to 2 minutes. And finally, hug mommy. And then she'll be fine. And I'm just wondering, what if we all have that little child inside us that when we wanted to cry, when we wanted to throw tantrum, when we wanted to vent as a child, whether it be from 0 to 12 or even older, no one was actually there to say, it's okay. Everybody's like, get over it, suck it up, or ignore you, or just pretend it doesn't exist, or be positive about it, or it's okay, you're going to be better. But that part of us needs to be heard and to feel okay that that's what we feel. And I think if we allow ourselves to just have conversation with ourselves from a place of curiosity, not judgment, and allow ourselves to feel the feelings we need to feel, no matter what it is, whether it be shame, guilt, fear, anger, or sadness, it's all okay. You're allowed to feel all that. And you'll find it so interesting that when you fully and completely allow yourself to feel those emotions, it doesn't stay there anymore. It dissipates. And I had to do that a few weeks ago, probably about a month ago. I was being triggered by some family members, and I allow myself to be angry. And it was so, because I feel it in my body. And I go, you know what? I'm going to use this experience as my measurement. Meaning, if I think about this experience and I'm still triggered, that means I have more stuff to clear. And if I think about this experience and I feel neutral about it, that means, hey, I'm done. At least in this chapter, I'm done. And I realized when this trigger presented itself and I sat with myself to ask myself different questions about what is this actually about? Whatever this person says, really, like it really shouldn't matter. But I have huge emotional charge. And I realized there was a deep, deep, deep layer of shame that I had. And shame is, for me at least, I feel like it's one of the hardest emotion to face because none of us want to feel shameful. We often feel shame in one way, shape, or form, whether we know it or not. And because we don't want to feel it, we do things to cover it. We keep doing things, we get busy, we show up differently, we dress a different way to cover that feeling. And so that day I was like, you know what? Okay, I found you. This is what I feel deep inside. Let me go all the way in. I'm going to allow myself to feel as shameful as possible. And I just allow. What am I so afraid of feeling? Like, what's so uncomfortable of feeling? What was really uncomfortable is somehow I'm afraid these people will like just yell at me or shame me and make me feel guilty. I go, all right, let's do it. And I would just allow myself to be there and allow them to yell at me. And in truth, in reality, they will never ever do that. But those projection came from my experience as a child. And I projected onto the people that have triggered me. So then I just go, all right, let's yell at me, shame me all the way. And then as I keep digging deeper, I realized, well, a lot of shame wasn't even mine. They were my parents. And I had to feel the shame with them together. All the things that we're afraid to feel, I felt it through. And after that, I felt like a whole different person just because I allow myself to feel the feelings that I was afraid to feel. Those feelings that you're afraid to feel will be like a toddler, keep knocking on you until you pay attention to it.
You know, you bring up a good point, Bridget, something worth examining because I sense a lot of people in the conscious awakening spiritual community are going through this right now, which is ancestral trauma. You know, the shame you said you were feeling, you know, it really came from your parents. So perhaps they were carrying shame of their parents and so on. And it's interesting how that keeps bubbling up. And I believe we are the healers in our family lines right now. So we are meant to dig that up and pull it up. That's why it feels like we have so much work to do. What's your
Yeah.
take on that?
I totally believe that. I have a few interesting experience, and I don't know if people can relate to that, but I found them to be quite mystical and very helpful for me. I really do believe that we carry a lot of memories from our ancestors. And when you do a lot of inner work to the point that you kind of get to the point where you start clearing not just your own and everyone else's in the lineage that you don't even know of. And I remember there was this one time I was clearing something very deep, maybe a past life. I can't remember exactly what happens, but I just had a thought when I was clearing my fear and my traumatic experience in that lifetime. I heard in my mind, you are someone else's ancestor. So imagine if time does not exist, it's not linear, and if we're all connected to all aspects of ourselves in multidimensional, in multiple different realities, and whatever I'm doing here can affect different areas of my life and my different forms of myself. As I clear my own karma from a different life, I'm also clearing that family. Let's imagine I was in a past life, I was in a different country, a different race, a different gender, let's say. And I went back to that time and clear myself, clear the traumas that I have doing this kind of work here, right here. And I'm hearing that I'm also someone else's ancestor. And when I clear my own thing, I'm literally creating a positive ripple effect that I can never imagine, to the extent that it can affect other people. And so me doing the work that I'm doing, not only clearing the things that I've been carrying from this lifetime, and also other lifetime, where I'm also someone else's ancestor. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
that was interesting to me. I go, oh my gosh, I never thought of it that way. That's also true. And another thing where I think it's kind of mind blowing and kind of bends your mind, because when I share this other experience that I'm about to share with another friend, that friend couldn't resonate and didn't understand. So I'm gonna do the best that I can to describe this experience, because I think it's very profound and powerful. And if people have listening to Bashar, I also love listening to Bashar, who's a channel by Daryl Anka. I once heard about him saying, as we grow and change, we literally had a different childhood, because the person that we are right now does not have the same childhood. And a lot of people will be like, what are you talking about? And so that was kind of like, a lot of time when you receive information, there would just be information until you experience it. You go, oh my God, like you integrate and go, I think I know what you're talking about. So I kind of have that in mind, but forgot about it because I do a lot of inner work. And this one time I was clearing a lot of childhood stuff where it has something to do with my dad. And I remember growing up, I often asked this question: why? Why me? Why did I have to be born in this family? Why did I have to go through all of this? Why can't I have different kind of family? And now when I was doing this kind of work, I think it was just last year, and I was working through something very deep and profound, and I was just feeling sad that I never got to receive the love that I wanted to receive from my dad. And I can't receive it anymore. He's not here anymore. He passed away about a year ago. And when he was even here, I was never be able to experience what it felt like to have a very healthy, unconditional, masculine, fatherly energy. And so there is a deep sadness within myself that felt like I would never get to experience that from my own father. And when I was working through this, there's a thought and a question that came to my mind that says, well, what kind of father would you like? Would you prefer? And I never thought of it. I never thought of this question ever, because why would you think of having another kind of parent when you already have this set of parent? And I go, you know what? That's a good question. If I could choose any kind of dad, or I could still have the same dad, but different character, different personality, how would I like him to be? And I started imagining that he will play with me. He would sit there and ask me a question when I'm hurt. He would listen to me, and he will not judge me, and he will give me the guidance as in a way to relate to me and go, oh yeah, I feel that too, I understand that too. And I said, that would be really nice. In my mind, as I was doing this, I was like, that would be really nice to have this kind of dad. And I was going through this, I realized I was owning this new image of what a fatherly figure can be like for me. And I go, that will be an experience I would love to have. And I was like setting that intention. I saw myself, and I was just being guided. I saw my dad, because of his own childhood trauma, made him the way he was. So that means if I would choose to have different kind of child, different kind of father, same father, but different, that means his child will have to change. That means his parents will have to change. His grandparents will have to change. And it's very interesting, just by me creating that childhood and that image of my dad, it created a mind-bending kind of experience where all the ancestors were changed because of what I'm choosing now. But I had to work through a lot of my own hurt to shift that. And it's very interesting, as it shifted the whole ancestor, as it's almost like A very loved child means they have very healthy parents, right? So ancestor wise, everybody are very healthy, loving parents that raise very loving and healthy children. And then I was born. So I really felt the positive ripple effect that came to me. And it's so interesting as after I did this work, I literally felt so confident in a way that I never felt before. I felt as if, like, I don't have to be afraid. I have a dad who loves me so much. I just internally, I felt that. And I was like, whoa, this is so cool. This is so interesting. And if you see a lot of movies, I really think there are a lot of movies have a lot of spiritual truth that's showing to us that we can literally choose any reality. We can literally create any reality. And what if we can create a reality in the past that we want, coming from what we know now? What if we could do that?
Oh, we absolutely can. There's a guy I follow
Yeah.
on YouTube, and I'm so sad I can't remember his name right now for everybody, but I will send him to you. And he talks about just that. You're like rewriting yourself into a higher timeline almost. So you're recreating that. And when you do that, I mean, all potentials exist at all
Yeah.
times. So you made that happen and you
Yeah.
just cleared the whole line.
Yes. And can I share something really interesting with
Please,
you?
yes, yes, yes.
So I've been having some physical pain these days. And so I invested in Mind Valley just about a week ago. And then I was very curious to this program in there called quantum jumping. So I decided one of the exercise in there is basically you quantum jump. He talks about where something insignificant, what we perceive as insignificant, can lead to something that is quite significant that caused the problem that you actually have right now, even though back then you probably didn't think too much about it. And so he says, focus on something minor. That's one of the meditation exercise. Focus on something minor you would like to change, a problem you're currently having right now. Once you pay attention to that, go, okay, this is your problem. Now think back to the time where something insignificant that you did. You didn't think it was a big deal, but it led to the problem you have right now. What would that be? And I realized, for quite some time now, my guides have been telling me, Bridget, drink more water. Bridget, exercise. I was like, yeah, sure. Yeah, I will drink water, but exercise, later. And then I would really just sit in front of a computer for a long time. I would drink just enough water because I also drink coffee. So it dehydrates my body. And so I realized, could that be the problem that I thought it was insignificant, but could potentially lead to the physical pain that I'm having right now? I'm like, okay, let's get back to that. And so he would quantum jump you to the time in the past where that insignificant event happened. Then you come back and then you jump into a timeline where you made a complete different choice and you see what happens. So I was like, okay, I jump into the time where that was the choice that I made, didn't drink enough water, didn't exercise, come back. And then I jump into the reality where I exercise every day. I was drinking tons of water. I was eating apples and bananas and everything. And then so I was happy, I was confident, I was energized. That's what I was feeling. And so after that meditation, I got up and I was trying to feel the physical pain. And I was like, whoa, that it lessened dramatically. And I was like, whoa, my gosh. And I was like, and that was fascinating for me in a way. It was an instant healing where I just jumped into time where I made a complete different choice and something that didn't seem like it was a big deal. And that just made me think, holy moly, every decision, every action we choose to take affect us in a way that we won't know until it actually happened. Every decision happened. Every decision mattered. Every action mattered because I experienced that instant healing right there just by jumping into a reality where I made a different choice. So I thought I just wanted to share that because I really think anyone and everyone have the power to do that for
Oh,
themselves.
absolutely, absolutely. I mean, and even you were smart enough to listen to your body and go, okay, there's something I'm doing here, maybe on an energetic level too, that's not aligning with my body. And it's just amazing the reaction that you got out of your body. Their bodies are so smart. They don't know what timeline you're on. They're just along with you as your avatar.
Yes, that's so true. That is true. Yeah, absolutely.
I went through something similar when I was writing my book about my cancer journey. All of a sudden, I started to feel really sick again. My stomach, I had colon cancer years ago, and I started to feel sick again. And I'm like, oh no, what's happening here? And something, my higher self or something stepped in and said, your body doesn't know what time you're in. Your body thinks it's going to go through all of this that you're writing about again. And I'm like, oh my God, I never talked to my body. I never told my body, no, we are just sharing a story. You are healthy. You are protected. I am taking care of you now. I know what I did to cause this discordant energy within my body, and I am not doing that anymore. So I had to step away and just honor my body and comfort it like a child almost.
Yeah, yeah, I totally believe that. I feel like I think it goes what you should share goes back to having the conversation with ourselves. Like you said, our subconscious mind and our body, it doesn't know. It doesn't know. It only knows the information you give it to it. And before, a long, long, long time ago, when I first started the spiritual journey, a lot of people were like, this law of attraction video came out. And people were like, do affirmation, blah, blah, think positively. And I did that. And I just felt more miserable back then because I didn't understand. Yeah, be positive, make affirmation. At the same time, it's important to honor those feelings. It's important to do all that. And I think there's a process where allow yourself to recognize what you're actually feeling and then have that conversation with yourself and your body. It's literally your body hears you all the time. Your body, the cells hear you. Your subconscious mind hear you. And I think the more now I'm getting back to affirmation because I feel like I'm doing the inner work plus recognizing my feelings plus using affirmation and speaking to myself and my body in a kind, loving way with all those combined together is very, very powerful. It's almost like, yes, I do the mental, energetic, spiritual, emotional work, but the physical also wants to hear from you. I'm loved, I'm safe, it's okay. Like there was a point in time I went to Norway where I was introduced to this scientist, but also kind of like a doctor. He has so many different machines to see. Basically, it doesn't invade your body. It's you just have a lot of things that connect to your brain, your body to see, and it will read your body to see what part of your body has problem. And then based on that report, they will use those machine with like sound or color or just vibration to help you heal your body. But even after the healing, this scientist had to connect me with this other machine where it's programming and sending a frequency to my body to tell my body, hey, it's okay to be healthy. It's okay to be healthy because what he told me was when our body has been in a condition for unhealthy for a long time, that became the norm for us. So unhealthy became the norm for our body and go, that's the normal state. So to introduce your body to a new state, you got to let your body know it's okay to be healthy, what healthy looks like, what healthy feels like, it's safe, it's okay. And so it's like you have to reprogram your body in that way. And I think just by using our words and our body. I don't know if you heard of Dr. Emoto,
Yep.
who uses the water, and we're like what 70% water. And when you use positive words into, you can change the water molecules into a beautiful, beautiful shape. And that's literally what we do when we communicate to ourselves, whether mentally or verbally. I think both are very, very important. Yeah.
And it's interesting too, we're so used to masking any pain. Like, what if your stomach pain, you just took something to mask that and chose to ignore it? Then it sits there and kind of festers and just gets worse and worse. So your body is communicating with you. You have to listen, and pain isn't something that we have to mask. It's something for us to sit with and feel through and examine spiritually, mentally, emotionally.
Yeah, I totally agree. I totally agree. And I've learned through this period of time, and I'm sure you have too, like, although mine is so much more minor compared to your experience, but I think when we have these physical pain too, what I'm noticing, at least for me, I'm experiencing and learning so much more empathy for other people as well.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
like, yeah, and you can learn a lot from your physical pain. I mean, to me, I'm used to emotional pain because I work a lot, face it a lot. But before, I had this limiting perspective about myself that when I'm in physically not well, like, I'm gone. Like, I just want to lay there. I don't want to do anything. I don't want to deal with anything. But because it's so uncomfortable these days, it really forced me to, like you say, be there with my pain. And in the beginning, like, I think for the first week and a half to 2 weeks, I literally was just being there. It's interesting enough. I let my pain tell me how much it's unhappy. It could be very angry at me because of the choices that I made. The pain, the body has a feeling too.
Yep.
So for a while, I was really listening to it, apologizing. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry. That's what I did. I should treat you better. I'm sorry. What else do you want to tell me? What else is there? And I was doing that a lot. And it helped me be aware a lot. It helped me learn about my body a lot. It's like, it's our body is like a friend that we often take advantage of until it's gone. We don't fully understand how important, it's actually the most important thing for each and every one of us, if that makes sense.
Oh, totally makes sense. Totally agree with that. Now, I'm curious about your latest journey, your conscious parenting. I know you have a podcast and you talk about it a lot on social media. You have your rambunctious little girl. Um, Talk a little bit about what parenting has taught you from this higher conscious perspective. Because when I was raising my kids, I was very unconscious. I was just doing what I saw my parents do, and I was not doing it well. And, I would let everything trigger me. And I always go, and I'm going to have to take your advice on what you did with your dad and go back and rewrite my parenting style with my kids so I can change that timeline. But what are you learning through this whole process?
A lot, a lot. I'll start from this. There's so much I can talk about, but what's coming to me right now, I remember when I was still pregnant with Nyla. I started having freak out moments. I don't know if other moms had that,
Oh,
but
yeah.
I was freaking out, freaking out. Well, yes, you freak out about, I'm going to be responsible. I'm going to be a mom. And I'm going to don't know everything. But one of my freak out moments was like, holy moly, what if like my kid is wild and like, it's just like obnoxious and then just like go disturb, like throw tantrum, doesn't listen to me. What am I going to do? What am I going to do? I was like freaking out about that. And Nyla's spirit came to talk to me. She said, you know, with or without me, this journey has never been about anyone else but you. And I said, holy moly, I think you're right. What I've noticed from what she said was, I'm not afraid of her throwing tantrum. I'm afraid of how other people would judge me.
Yep.
And because of my fear of how other people would judge me, I want to control her. So I avoid the judgment from other people. Then what I need to actually focus on is not her, is my perception of myself that I'm projecting onto other people. So it has never been about other people, but it has always been about me. And her profound wisdom has stuck with me even now. And I think it's hard at times, especially now. I think for a lot of parents, because of what we went through as a child, because of how our parents were not always conscious, because they were never taught how to have healthy conversations. And therefore, they didn't think what they did would be a big deal and affect us sometime down the road. But because there's so many information and tools and awareness of, oh, you got to be loving and like talk to your kids and this way and blah, blah, blah. I think that's all good as well. At the same time, I feel like we are at a time where this generation of parents are also learning and undoing the patterns and the experiences that we had as a child, because we did not have the model, and because we did not want to experience that. We're afraid our kids will experience that, so we want to go to the complete extreme. Let me be loving and positive and blah blah. And I think it's great. At the same time, I'm noticing a lot of moms care so much about the well-beings of their kids that they forget to care about the well-beings of themselves.
Big. That's huge. That's huge.
Yeah. Yes. And I want again and again and again, I realized the times when I'm most frustrated with Nyla is not, she's throwing tantrum whenever she wants to. There's not a specific time. Oh, January, that's all tantrum month. No, or like February, I'm calm now. It's not that. It's she just throw tantrums whenever she wants. But I'm most frustrated and most impatient is the time when I'm most stressed out with myself and my life.
Yeah.
It's, and you notice it's not about what they do. And when I'm not stressed out, when I'm calm, when I spend time with me, when I do the inner work, when I meditate, when I have all this, do the thing to take care of me, no matter, she can throw the biggest tantrum and I will have a genuinely have a loving space for her. Go, it's fine, and I'm here, right here. I will not take anything personally. And so it's not about the kids. And I often have some moms or parents who are not very on this inner shadow work spiritual journey, coming to me wanting to fix their kids. And I would tell them the things and I would put the energy focus back to them, and they would not want to face it. And I'm not saying you did anything wrong. No, you didn't do anything wrong. If anything, you didn't take care of yourself enough. When you take care of yourself enough, everything else is taken care of. You are naturally the loving being that you are. You naturally are. You don't need to think, what do I say at this moment? How do I make my kids feel more loved? You don't need to, because you are love. Your kids naturally perceive you as love. They naturally want to have connection with you. We naturally want to have, even now, I want to have connection with my mom, but sometimes she's so disconnected with herself that she's not reciprocating that experience with me. But at the same time, I know not to take it personally. Even now, I'm adult now. I still want that connection. We all do. And it's okay to, I really think, right, number one, for any and all parents, doesn't matter you have little kids or adult kids, number one is to forgive yourself for anything you've done or you think you've done or didn't do. Because no matter what you know now, back then you were doing the best that you could at the moment that you knew how, with everything that you knew. And at the same time, we forget how much was going on in our lives during those times. we forget we need support too. We've been conditioned in this world where we got to figure everything out. We have not been taught how to properly ask and receive help.
That is
Right?
huge. That is huge. And
Yes.
you know what? A biggie that I run into, I would say with 90% of my clients is they just do and do and do and give and give and give to the family, ignore themselves, and then they have such a negative view of themselves. The self-love factor needs to be addressed. It is the pandemic from what I see.
Yes, I totally agree. I totally agree. I from what you say, I just came to me an experience. I remember it was my first year of being a mom. And for some reason, I just had this thought, and I think it was programmed, conditioned by the world, or maybe what I saw from my aunt or my mom and other women. I somehow just had this thought, I need to do it all, and I need to be very good at it. I need to be a perfect mom, the perfect wife, and a career mom. I can handle it. I can do it all. And so I was driving myself crazy, and I would feel I have all these resentment, and I was just like, I would during the day when I wait, Nyla wake up, I take care of her. I go to work when she's napping, and then clean the house, and then go back to work, and then take care of her like nonstop. I did not have time for myself. And I started to build this resentment, and I would just look at my husband, Jonathan. I was like, he doesn't even fucking know what I do for this family, and blah, 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 blah. Doesn't even know what I do. I was so angry, so angry. But I've been doing this enough work to know there's something deeper here. So instead of yelling at him or projecting it all to him, I went to the room when Nyla's asleep. Luckily, she was still a baby. She was sleeping a lot back then. And I just lay there. I go, what's going on, Bridget? And I was just allow myself to be mad. I was yelling at Jonathan. I was like, he doesn't even know how much I do, like blah, blah, blah. And I was like, he's not even grateful for me. And a thought came to me and say, Bridget, are you grateful for you? And I was like, no, I'm not. And that is why I'm so angry. I, whenever I wanted something, I go, no, 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 let's buy Nyla stuff first, buy the household stuff first, but what we need first. And me was last. Oh, I want time, but I still need to do dishes. I need to take care of this. I need to take care of that. I always put myself last. And even when Jonathan was showing his appreciation and love, I did not recognize it because I was not giving it to myself. So I did not know how to receive it, consciously or unconsciously. And if you do this enough, you realize any and all validation, love, appreciation that we're actually really, really, really seeking from is not from people from outside of us. We're actually truly, really, really seeking it from us. It's like there's a part of you that's doing all the work, and there's a part of you that's like, you're not doing enough, you're not doing enough. And that's like, but you asked me to do all this stuff. No, that's not enough. We're our worst critics. The person, it's almost like we're the worst, we're worse than our parents sometimes.
And then we get on social media and we see
Yes,
what we perceive as perfect
yes,
moms. And we just beat ourselves up even more and try to
yes.
live up to this standard that is unachievable.
Yes. Yes, it's crazy. It's crazy. I've met a lot of mom that was doing all the right thing for their kids. Organic, play with them, do all the things, homeschooling. Yet that mom was miserable and angry.
And that's sad
And
because to me, I would love to go back and relive and do that with my kids, but I'd have to be in the space that I'm in now and know what I know now too.
yeah. Yeah, and remember quantum jumping? We can
Yes,
choose.
I will go do
Yes.
that. I'm going to go do that
Yes.
tonight.
Yes. Yes. And it's never too late, even now. Like, I think even now, if my mom were to shift the way she connects with me now, I think it will be so profound in a way that I don't think I could ever imagine that impact that she can have on me. I remember because my mom has always been very emotionless. She, because of what she went through with my dad, she shuts down basically everything. She shuts down all emotions, including joy. So, and love. She shuts down and she feels indifferent about everything. And so she doesn't get, ever since I was little, she was never really involved, or like she's not like most Asian mom where they want to get involved in all of your business. Like so she's the complete opposite. She doesn't care about my school. Like she will never ask questions. Like her number one thing is, as long as you don't bother me, I'm fine. You don't need me to do, like, I'll go pick you up. Like, you're fine. Go out, have fun, whatever. I trust you. Go, go, go. But there was always this craving of connection. I love that you trust me. I know you love me. At the same time, I would love to feel it. I would love for you to be curious about me. And I never got to really experience that. My mom doesn't ask me questions. I'm the one who's always talking. But I remember when I first married to Jonathan, and because of her experience, she remembered how horrifying her marriage was. And she probably often felt like she didn't have the support that she needed because her parents were far away. We were in Taiwan, her parents were in America. So she took me out and she told me, she said, Bridget, I just want to let you know, I wish you beautiful marriage. However, if there are times when you feel like you need support and love, I want you to know my home, me, mommy is always here for you. The door is always open for you. And even though I was already an adult, that was one significant experience and profound loving experience that I felt. And my mom does a lot of things for us. I mean, her way of connecting is food, and she loves me. But that moment was what I've been craving for all my life. To you verbally tell me that you're there with me, because I did not experience that from you. And I used to work at a marriage coaching company where I help a lot of people with severe marriage problems. And one of the guys, a client in that was there, he was towards the end of the program. It was a 12-week program. And I was one of the coaches that he had to talk to. And I was just checking in with him and see how he was doing. He said, I'm actually doing really, really great. Now I've learned through this whole experience that I need to tell my loved ones how I feel and what is going on. Before, I used to just assume they should know. He's a guy who's always busy working. He's working hard for the family, for the kids, so they can have a better life. He assumed they should just know. That's why he just goes to work and not telling them, blah, blah. And then that was part of the problem that was in the marriage and the family. He said, now, every time before I go to work, I would tell my kids, Daddy, love you so much. I'm just going to go to work and I'm going to do the best that I can to take care of you. And I want you to know I'm leaving doesn't mean that I don't want to be with you. And I love you very much. And when I come back, we'll have time to connect and chat. Okay. And he said, just that little thing shifted the whole thing for the whole dynamic of the family. And I think part of the problem, especially in Asian culture, is we know we love our parents. We know we love our kids. We know we love our family, but we don't say enough. Asians are too shy to talk about it. But a lot of us don't know the profound impact of the words that are coming from the heart and love. We don't hear it enough. And anytime, it's never it's never too late. It's never too much. Never ever too much to show love at any time, any age.
That's so true. And holding that space,
Yeah.
not let your child spew out whatever they want to share with you, and
Yes.
don't feel like you got to jump in and fix it. Just listen. Just listen. That's all they want, is to be heard.
Yes. Yes, 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 yes. That's profound wisdom right there.
Oh, Bridget, this was what a wonderful conversation. I would love for you to share with everybody what kinds of things you have going on right now and where they can find you. And I will also put all that information below for everybody.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, right now I'm basically just showing up on my podcast or like Facebook whenever I feel inspired that I have something to share, or I'm going through certain transitions in my life and have certain awakenings. That's where I share. People can find me on wildlyconsciousfreedom.com, where I also have a soul healing journal book where there's a lot of journal prompts where I help people dive deep into asking questions to realize about themselves. And because I've noticed a lot of times the voices in our head, the path that we're following, we think is what we want, to realize and later down the road to realize, oh, I got here, but I'm still not happy. And to realize, maybe that's not what I truly want. And or there's a lot of traumas or feelings that's deep, buried deep within, but we're not quite sure how to start asking those questions to dig it out and process through them. So I have a soul healing journal specifically help people to dig deeper into their desire as well as their fear and their badass version of themselves. Yeah.
That sounds amazing. That sounds amazing. And I love your shares on social media. Everybody go follow Bridget right now. She is incredible. Thank
Thank
you
you.
so much for being here
Thank you
today.
so
I
much, Linda.
so appreciate you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you so much for this, you creating this beautiful space for people to share their stories. And what you do is beautiful, amazing. I just want to say thank you, Linda, for all that you do. Thank you.
Absolutely, my dear. Goodbye, everybody.